Hello, this is Edgin Montiel, and this is a continuation of the last video that I just did for the CSWA certification week number 3. So this is part 2 of week 3, and we just finished making this part in SolidWorks. And on the pre-test, we did question 3, which was answer D here. I did not modify the part, so I'm going to do that part real quick as well. I was going to move on to modifying this right away, but I did forget to answer question number 4 in the last video. So I did want to take a moment just to answer this because we're just modifying our global variables that we had made. So we could do that very easily just by coming to our part, our design tree over here for the part. I'm going to right click on equations and hit manage equations. And now B needs to be changed to 59. A needs to be changed to 84. And C needs to be changed to 45. Then I hit OK, and it's going to change my part in the background there, and I can go to evaluate and mass properties, and now I can see 1032.32 grams off the new. Again, we're answering number 4. The materials stayed the same. We just changed A, B, and C global variables, and it wants to know what the mass of the part was in grams. So I got the 1032.32, and if we go all the way to the end of the practice exam, we can look at the answers, which there's the 1032.32. So you should get this exact answer just like I did when you're making this part. And then you apply that change to it for question 4 of that first part. So then now we're going to move on to the next questions, which is questions 5 and 6 down here. It's very similar to what we just did, except we're going to modify this part even more. So it's the exact same part, except they cut out a chunk here, if you see that part's missing now. And then they cut out a chunk here, and they put a hole through it. So there's really only like, oh, and then there's a chunk missing on the bottom as well. So 1, 2, 3, like 4 chunks they took out, one being a hole, that we're going to do on this part. So, and then they have all the different views, so you can kind of see what's going on. They're still utilizing global variables, C, B, and A. I did watch a video on how the guy was preparing this one, and something that he messed up way at the end of it is because for question, we already did 3 and 4, so the next one's 5. If you look at it, they changed the global variables again. So this guy had tried the whole part, the whole time using these same global variables that I had just changed to, and at the very end is when he realized that he had to go in there and change them again. So just be careful when you're taking the practice test or tests in SolidWorks because it may have you use the same part, but then on the next question, just make sure you're updating everything the way it wants. See, because this one went from 59 to 58 now, which is just a minute little change. A went to 86, and C went to 44 for this part. So I'm going to update those to begin with, because those are the overall dimensions of it based on the schematic, the information that it gave me here. And then their schematics, it's still the C is the thickness of it, the A is still the overall length, and the B is the overall height of this device. So that's still all the exact same, at least the global variables didn't change. So now we have to add this geometry to it. So again, I'm looking at a second monitor with this over here to help remind me of what I'm doing. But the very first thing I'm going to do is put a hole through it, just because I think that's one of the easiest things to do. So I'm going to click on my sketch tab and start a sketch, and I want to do it on this surface, and then I'm going to pick my circle tool, and I'm just going to draw some arbitrary circle over here. I'm going to dimension it right away to 11 on the diameter, millimeters. That's how big the thing says it is. And then from the center of the circle to this edge, it's 14 millimeters, and then the center of the circle to the other edge is 14 as well. And that should turn my circle black. It did, so we're awesome there. And then I'm going to exit my sketch, make sure it's highlighted there in my design tree so that I can click on my extrude cut. So from here, we could do blind and pick a distance, or you can say through all. I think we've done through all quite a bit in my videos before, but I just wanted to show this other one that there's this up to surface, and we can populate this surface area to this back surface. So regardless of how we change the geometry of this hole will always just propagate all the way to this very back surface that I selected. And that's just kind of could be convenient depending on what kind of complex part you're building. So you just want to make sure that you utilize the way to communicate and talk to SolidWorks the best way that you possibly can, because it's only going to save you time in the long run. So picking this surface, for example, just as we change the geometry of this part, it's going to make sure that that circle, that hole stays all the way through it. regardless of what geometries I'm changing, like the thickness of it and whatnot. So that was one of the easy ones. So there's multiple ways that you can actually do this next step, and I'm just going to do it the way that makes sense to me. I saw the guy in this video that I watched did it completely different. He actually approached it from this angle, got this nice and flat, and then he drew like a square over here and then cut into it this way. But what I'm going to do, because the way this makes sense to me, is I see this picture, and there's this like line here that's dimensioned, and then there's this line here that's dimensioned, and those are actually the cuts that we're making. So I'm going to just draw on this front face and draw those lines, and then kind of cut into it that way. So just like I said, I'm going to make sure I am normal to the front face here, and I'm going to start a sketch. Not on the circle again. I want to start a sketch there. And I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to try that again. So I want my line to go from the top, coincident with this line up here. And I want to make sure it's vertical, and then coincident with the line down here. And then I hit escape, because I'm going to go into my smart dimension tool. And I know that this line from there to the back is dimensioned at 52 millimeters, according to the schematic. Then there's another line that goes pretty even with this. I'm actually going to click that little dot right there, and then it stays horizontal and comes coincident with that line. Then I hit escape and smart dimension, because from here to here it should be 19. Yep. And it probably won't let me do this because of the sketch relations that I made, so it's actually redundant in me trying to make this dimension, because it already knows that it's even with this line and goes like that. So I actually don't have to do that dimension. It's already black, because SolidWorks understands where that line is in 3D space based on the sketch relations that I made just while drawing it. I'm that talented. So I'm going to exit my smart dimension tool here. Then the other thing I have to do is I have to finish drawing, because when we use a cut tool or an extrude tool, it needs a completely enclosed figure, and all I have right now is a sketch of a line right here and a sketch of a line right here. So I need to enclose this area, and I need to enclose this area. So I don't know if you guys remember the button that we use, but we can click on this surface and hit Convert Entities, and it actually sketches everything out for us. So I actually have all this drawn too, but I'm just going to leave that on there because I'm lazy, and I don't really have to delete it because I'm just trying to complete this. What I want to utilize is the part of the sketch that's over here. I think I also need to convert this entity, so I'm going to click on that separate and then hit Convert Entity just to make sure that that one got sketched as well. So it looks like all my sketches exist the way that I want them. So now I can exit this sketch, and I'm going to go to my Cut tool, and I'm going to pick this surface, and it lets me separate it just a little bit. And then based on the schematic there, I want to cut into this one. We're going to go blind and do 19 millimeters is how far that one needs to cut in. Then I hit OK, and we made that first cut. And then I'm going to do an extruded cut again, and I'm going to do this tiny geometry down there. Nope, it's not going to let me exit sketch. We're going to go back to that one. We're actually going to see if we can populate both of these. Can I do that one too? Nope, it's not liking something. So we'll leave that one alone for a second, but we're going to want to go back into this sketch. I think I'm going to try to trim this line because I think that's what's giving me a hard time. Trim some of these lines off. Because these are the ones, it's going to force me to come back and get rid of them. Because right there should let me enclose that in. There we go. So let me add both. There we go. So now I have both those cut at the same time, or on the same step. And they were cut in just as far on both. I'm trying to find it. There it is. Yep. So that front one is cut in just as much as this back one. So those two cuts are done, and now I just need to do this weird circle cut into it. So I'm going to show you the way I saw the guy do it on the video, just because that seems, I actually had to watch the video. This is the part I couldn't figure out by myself. All right, so we're at the point where we made this front cut and this bottom cut. So now all we have to do is the weird circle cut in here. So I'm going to start by talking about this front plane. So this is our design tree for our part. And over here I can use the middle mouse wheel to scroll if your guys' windows are too small. You can see how that moves back and forth with my middle mouse wheel as I scroll it. But I can click on front plane, top plane, right plane. When I pick on the front plane, that's the plane that I've been sketching on, because that's the one I started on. And I drew all this shape on there, and I extruded it from there, if you guys go back and watch my video. But the best way to think of this, and the way I like to think of it, is the front plane here as being like a tabletop. And if I orient it kind of in that sense to where it's this way, you could easily see that blue and think of that as like a surface, like a table that you're on, and that we've been messing with this part on top of that table. So I'm talking about it this way because it's important that when you're drawing that you understand what plane you're sketching on. Because if I have this front plane selected over here in my design tree and I start a sketch, then I'm technically drawing on that tabletop, on that front plane. But I can actually pick one of these surfaces just like this, and I can actually draw on that plane or that surface a plane parallel to that surface there. So it's just important to understand where you're sketching, because the way that we input information into SolidWorks, it could either make our life difficult or easier depending on which plane we start sketching from. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm going to actually pick this front plane, because this front plane is the one that I want to sketch on, and I'm going to start a sketch. So then I'm going to draw a circle, and if you look at the schematic for this, the circle is kind of, the origin for it is somewhere out there, and it comes somewhere in like this. So this is just the rough sketch of this arbitrary circle there. And what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to sketch out this circle shape, and then the rest of this shape that exists already is this part. So just like before, we're going to do this offset entities, nice, easy button. Oh, we don't want to move anything though. I don't know how I did that. Not offset entities, convert entities. There we go. So now we have everything all drawn on top of itself again. But what's most important is because I started on the front plane, or like that tabletop that I mentioned, all of this is actually being sketched on that front plane on the same level. So it's not like in 3D. You have to remember that our sketches are a 2D thing. So we're actually sketching on a 2D plane when we're doing this. So let me fix my orientation again, so I'm nice and flat and I don't mess up anything. So now I'm just trying to sketch out this, so I got to clean this up a little bit. So we're going to do our trim entities line, and it's trim closest right now, so we're going to get rid of the big outside of that. And then we're going to get rid of some of these inside ones, because we don't need all of these extra little lines for our drawing. So there, we just have the rough sketch there, and it's still blue, because I actually need to smart dimension it. So I'm going to get out of my trim tool. There's also a sketch relation they use to make sure that this turns black. So I'm going to hold down Control and click on the origin of my circle there, and then this line, because those need to be coincident. And I hit check mark, and then we're going to smart dimension from this top of this line to this edge. The schematic says that that's 36 millimeters. And then we have to dimension the radius of the circle itself, which is 41 millimeters. So there it goes, it went black, so we're good dimensioning it. And I'm done sketching, so I can exit my sketch now. So if I look at my sketch, you can see it's the shape that I wanted there. So let me fix my orientation again. And now I have that sketch highlighted, and I'm going to do a cut. And now this is the trick, this is the fun part of this one that makes it easy. So right now we're doing a cut from the sketch plane, and what we actually want to do is be offset from the sketch plane. So if you look at the schematic, we're actually going to come up 12 millimeters before we actually start to cut. Then we want to cut it 24 millimeters. And if I look at my preview screen right here, I could tell it's going the wrong way, so I hit this little flip direction button. So just like the schematic, what we're wanting to do is we're starting a cut from this front plane, or the tabletop, but we're going to offset it by 12 millimeters, and then we're going to make an extrusion cut, or the cut here, extruded cut for the 24 millimeters. And then after that, we're going to stop. We're going to leave whatever material is left. So once you have all of that information entered in here, you hit check mark, and it'll cut out the center of the part for you. So there we go. That was the hardest part of this one. And I messed up several times, but you guys don't get to see that because I can stop and edit these videos. But it finally worked. The time before this, I have no idea why it didn't work. It did some funky stuff, and all I did was undo all my steps and literally did it again, and it worked fine. So I don't know why. So we still have the right material, because that didn't change. We already had updated our values in here. It should be 86, 58, 44. So again, just double checking everything before you actually answer these questions to make sure that you are good. So it wants us to know how much it weighs. And I got 628.18. Let's go see if I'm right. Scroll, 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 scroll. 628.18 is the exact number, so you guys should probably get the exact number on that as well. And then, so that was question 5. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Now question 6, what does it want us to do? Modify this part. So these always say arbitrary, but you always want to sketch them in a smart way, for sure. All that stays the same. By adding a pocket. Oh, so this is the one that eats into the side of it now. Yep, so it wants us to do a cut into the part now, right there, is what this one's talking about. So it's actually eating into this part, and it eats into the part close to the circle there, and then it also eats into the part beyond the circle here into that piece. You can see it goes in even with this as well. So I don't quite remember how they did this on the video, so we're just going to jump right into it. I'm going to select the surface, and I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing on everything, which has been, we're going to sketch, I don't know, convert entities, right? Oh no, I had to be in the sketch. And now we're going to convert entities. So we drew on that, and now we're going to offset those entities. Reverse, and we only want to go in 1 millimeter. There we go. Now I have that sketch, which I can do an extruded cut. Whoa. We want to go 8, I think. From the math I did earlier. Oh, that was the wrong kind. We need to flip it to the outside. This one. Whoa, what are you doing? Let's cancel all that. We don't want that outside. Let's do 2 sketches. Where's my cut? My scissors. We don't want that one. Or that one. That one. That one. I don't know how I made so many extra. There we go. That should be it now. Too far. Oh, that's right, because it's already 8, so it needs to be 7. So give it a 1 millimeter thickness on the back side of it. There we go. Now we just got to figure out how to cut into this part of it. So I'm going to select that line. And I'm going to hit a sketch on this surface. I want to convert that entity. Whoa, where'd it go? I somehow made it plain. Let's try that again. We're going to start a sketch on that plane. Then I'm going to come and select this line and hit convert entity. Thank you. Thank you for cooperating. And now I'm going to pick this plane again and convert these entities. And I gotta trim away everything I don't need. What is that even doing over there? I don't know where that one's coming from. This little one right there. And now let's see, so that's even with that, so we need to offset that line. We're gonna select that line first. Let's see if it'll let me just do one. Yay! So we're offset that one by 1 millimeter, hit check mark. Now we can trim out that one because we don't need that one anymore. Now, oh my gosh, there's still something here. Go away. So now we should be able to cut into that. And it's going to go right up to that, and this was a dimension of 20-something, 24. I probably should have left that other line, because it made this one go blue. I can dimension it with this top edge, and it should go black as well. This one is going to go, what did I just say, 24? Maybe it's 25. Might be 25. Yep, it's 25. I forgot about the 1 millimeter we left here. And that hollowed it out correctly. So I think that's right now. So we just gotta check and see if we did it right. So 43258. 43258, so that's right. So the only thing that I didn't have right currently was that darn blue line. So what happened in this sketch is I used it to convert entities off of that other line that was here, but then when I deleted that other line, it turned this one blue, because that's how it related, or this is how SolidWorks knew where this one existed in 3D space, was because of that other line. And because I deleted the other line, it no longer understands where this line is in 3D space. So I think by just adding the 2 dimensions that we had to add to the other one, and just putting a radius back on it, and then making sure that sketch relation is there as well, because it lost all 3 of these when I deleted that other line. And now it went back black, and I can exit my sketch, and everything is still good, and it shouldn't have changed anything here, because I was just literally redefining where it was already sketched in 3D space. I just had to make sure SolidWorks understood where it was in 3D space, because I lost its understanding of where it was when I deleted that line. So I just had to redimension it so I understood where it was, and you can see that I still got the exact same answer. So that is how I completed that part. Sorry, that was a little bit rougher than I would have liked it to been. I didn't get to practice this one as much as some of the other ones. But I hope you guys have good luck in building that this week. Really, to build the first part of it, and then all of these modifications, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, because you're answering 4 questions along the way. So I think maybe even 20 minutes wouldn't be too bad on this part, as long as you're able to answer all 4 of those questions along the way. Would be a realistic time frame to try to get this done on the test, to make sure that you have plenty of time, especially if you run into problems, because if you can do one like this in 20 minutes, then I imagine you could figure out some of the other ones that may be on the test a little bit easier. But that's the end of this video and the end of what I wanted to do for week 3 for the CSWA exercises. So next week we're going to finish up the practice test, and then the week after that, hopefully I'll be able to take the practice test, and we can all see what that looks like, and then we'll be all as prepared as we possibly can be for the actual test, which we will start taking after that. But all right. As always, you guys can reach me at my UCCS email if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Bye.